Solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. The third technique that can be used to solve a quadratic equation is the use of the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula states that given ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, we can solve for x by taking negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2a. So now we'll go over the algebraic proof of the quadratic formula. We want to prove that if ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then x equals that quadratic formula that we discussed. So if we want to prove that, we start by writing what we were given. Given a quadratic equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Now we want to solve for x. So we're going to first subtract the c over. So that's going to give me ax squared plus bx equals negative c. And now we basically are going to complete the square. So completing the square, I'm going to start by factoring out an a. So that would be a times x squared plus b over a x equals negative c, still at just negative c. Now we actually do the completing of the square, which would be a times x squared plus b over a x plus b over 2a quantity squared equals, if we do it to one side, we've got to do it to the other side, so that would be a times my b over 2a squared minus c. And then if I simplify that, I'm going to have a x plus b over 2a quantity squared equals b squared over 4a, that's if you simplify that whole part, minus c. Now I want to make a common denominator on the right side, so that's going to give me a x plus b over 2a squared equals, multiply this times 4 over a, or 4 times a, so that's going to make me have b squared minus 4 times a times c over 4a. And now I'm going to divide by a, giving me x plus b over 2a quantity squared equals b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared, because I divided by the a. And then I take a square root of both sides. When I take a square root, I need to take plus or minus. So I'm going to have x plus b over 2a equals positive or negative square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. And now if I split that square root in the numerator and the denominator, then I'm going to get x plus b over 2a equals positive or negative square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by the square root of 4a squared, which that will simplify to x plus b over 2a equals positive or negative square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And then I subtract my b over 2a from both sides. And that's going to give me x plus equals negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now I notice I have a common denominator here, so I can put that together into one fraction. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So, therefore, if ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then we have just proved that x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So you just proved that. Actually do a couple examples with the quadratic formula. So this first one, what I notice before I do anything is everything is divisible by 3. So divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3, and divide by 3, giving me an equation of 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. Now this step isn't necessary, but it's kind of helpful because then you're using smaller numbers and it's a little bit easier to do. So now I put it into my quadratic formula. X equals negative b, so negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 2. That's going to give me 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 8 divided by 4. So x equals 3 plus the square root of 1 over 4, or x equals 3 minus the square root of 1 over 4. So that gives me x equals 3 plus 1 is 4 over 4. X equals 1. Or we have x equals 3 minus 1, which is 2 over 4, which we simplify to 1/2. So x is 1 or x is 1/2. Okay, so for this next one, we notice we're not yet in standard form. So the first thing we got to do is put it in standard form. X squared plus 30x, and we need to move that 125 over. So plus 125 equals 0. Now we're set equal to 0, so we're in our proper form. So now we have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times my a times my c all over 2 times my a. So if I simplify this, I get negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 900 minus 500 over 2. So x equals negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 400 over 2. Negative 30 plus or minus the, not the square root. The square root of 400 is 20 over 2. And then I can split it up into x equals negative 30 plus 20 over 2, or x equals negative 30 minus 20 over 2. So x equals negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5, or x equals negative 50 over 2, which is x equals negative 25. So those are your two possible answers. X is negative 5 or x is negative 25. Those are your notes over solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Go through the practice problems, make sure you can use this technique, and then you should be ready for a quiz over solving quadratic equations.